Manhwa is known for its art, like the breathtaking visuals, the beautiful sceneries, the epic fight, the cinematic tone. That's what makes manhwa special. What if I say you that manhwa wasn't like this all along? This is what manhwa looked like in 1920s, and this is manhwa now. From rough ink sketches on newspapers to god-tier digital paintings, manhwa has evolved faster and further than most people realize today. At the end of this video, you will know how Korea just changed the dynamics of whole comic industry. So first era, 1920s to 1950, era of ink and paper. Back when Korea was under Japanese rule, manhwa was mostly political and drawn with brushes, pens, rough lines and non-colors. Just raw expression, heavy dialogue, no flashy panels, just survival on cheap ink and cheap paper. Those weren't for entertainment. At the time, they were fighting censorships and other fights using this manhwa as using satires to speak out. Art was simple, lines were rough, but the message loud and clear. Back then, manhwa wasn't even called manhwa, by the way. At that time, manhwa used to call manga because it was heavily inspired by manga. And 1960s to 1980s, it's called golden age of prints. At that time, Korea was stabilized and was free from the rule. Manhwa found its commercial footing. Artists started refining their lines. The technique were heavily inspired from Japanese manga, like using screen tones for background and exaggerating panel layouts. But they added their own flair to it. Background became more detailed, and story like Goon brought historical drama to life in the form of manhwa. And manhwa exploded in variety of genres, from romance to sci-fi series like The Dooley, The Little Dinosaur. These capture the childhood imaginations of people. The style was cleaner, sharper, and more detailed background, and yet there were no colors, and the manhwa is still known as manga. And in 1990s, anime boomed. Anime gained unimaginable amount of popularity with series like One Piece, Naruto, Dragon Ball. Seeing this popularity, Korean artists leaned towards the hype. They started copying anime's flat colors, thick outlines, big expressive faces. The coloring tools were basic, markers, color pencils, early Photoshop. But it worked. Manhwa took on a cartoonish and punchy aesthetic look. Titles like Kune's Knight, Ragnarok became cult classic. They were colors, but yeah, it were flat, but at least they got colors now. In early 2000s, they had an digital transitions. In early 2000s, manhwa went digital. Artists swapped screen tone sheets for Wacom tablets, Photoshop brushes, and titles like Noblesse and Breaker used soft gradient glowing effect and clean digital line work. And the Breaker was the first manhwa that implemented oil paint style shading in action scenes. Artists started painting details only where it mattered. Face would be ultra detailed and background will be just loose strikes. It will let your brain fill on the rest. That's the time-saving trick still used these days. You can see this recent manhwa, Northern Blade. You can see that the faces were clear, but the background is just free break strokes. But your brain fills out what that background means. And now manhwa got colors, got recognition with the titles like Noblesse, The Breaker, and some other cult classics. But it didn't got the recognition globally. From 2010 to 2015, it was going to change. The manhwa got to known as Webtoon in this era. It was revolutionary, dude. Because instead of manga that forced rigid panels, artists like SIU, also known as CU, the author of Tower of Gods, use it scroll pacing fights. As you scroll, the fight goes on. It gave such a cinematic and immersive look to the manhwa. It was you are not reading anymore. It was you're watching an freaking cinema there. It's changed everything. All manhwa artists started using vertical panels. The perks of using scroll pacing is that it enhances audience engagement by 10 times. Yep, there are other manhwas before that tried to use vertical style too. But Tower of God, with its fame and popularity, it just reshaped whole manhwa layout. And after that, the series which has most impact on manhwa scene is God of High School. Because God of High School mixed cell shading techniques that was used in anime with ultra high detail backgrounds. The contrast, the shadows were too good that it overwhelms the brain. Before this, they used to use cell shading methods that were used in animes to color the panels. But the oil painting method that I mentioned in Breaker, they couldn't use in anime because it would need 25 different art to make a single second of anime, as 1 second has 25 frames, and it was not that cost effective. But manhwa creators noticed that this was an issue for them because they only need one panel per one scene. They started using digital oil paint style with cell shading. At this point, everyone was thinking that art can't get better than this. This is when the digital painting and 3D era started. This is where things got crazy. REDICE studio brought in 3D modeling, custom Photoshop brushes, and lighting techniques you would expect from AAA games. Skin glow, metal refractor, cloth blends. Bro, they dropped solo leveling, and they didn't just stop with that. They dropped Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, World After the End. That set the freaking mark for manhwa. Like everyone was expecting this type of art from every other manhwa, and it's the art that we see in every manhwa today. REDICE Studio just not released some masterpieces today. They just reshaped whole manhwa industry itself with their beautiful art. It's not like that they were the only one who thought of using 3D modeling in manhwas. There were like other manhwas that tried using 3D model before that. As using 3D models would make the work faster and easier, as we just need some 3D models and just move their hands and feet to make an scene. But that didn't went well. REDICE Studio just mixed 3D modeling with hand drawing design, which gave the shape to the manhwa that we see today. Respect REDICE Studio, dude. Respect to them. And now the great part was this kind of flex, man. Like they started with using techniques of manga. They started manhwa inspired by manga, and they started copying anime. But now they set the mark. They set the bar. Now everyone wants to watch the art of manhwa. So the anime studios are like forced to adapt that. Like you can see Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen. Those are manhwa art styles. Like from getting inspired from manga and forcing them to change whole art style. Damn, man, that's the impact that manhwa has now. They were forced to adapt manhwa's cinematic look. Why? Because the internet trained our brain to carve motion, light and scroll based action. Manhwa didn't just evolve, it became the blueprint. From silent ink protests to full color scrollable epics, Korean comics, even though they followed manga, but they created their own future. Respect, man. Respect to every manhwa author, artist and manhwa studio out there which contributed in this evolution of manhwa. So comment me which type of art you prefer, and for this video I personally researched everything from some wiki pages and from some history Reddit pages. Some of my information might be incorrect, or I could have said something wrong. If I just mentioned or did something wrong, please correct me in the comment section. I am open to that. It's like I researched it myself. I am not a professional researcher or something. I'm just doing it out of my love for the manhwa, dude. So this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys want some manhwa recommendation list, then you can follow my Patreon or join my Discord. I made my own personal manhwa list. That's like one of the best lists out there in my opinion, and I started streaming on Twitch too. I play some games, have some fun with you guys, and if you want to hang out with me there and discuss some manhwa and stuff, you can come on my stream at the rate 1004. Link is in description, you can follow that. So I will meet you in another video. Until then, be safe, thanks you for watching, and I am signing out.